Now, in marketing research, the importance of the questionnaire cannot be overstated. It's very important, so much so that your entire research could fall apart because you have one question that just makes it all invalid. And this one here, I think asking if you've ever been in an accident and resulted in your death, is one such example. Okay, within the questionnaire design, we have different kinds of questions you have to be careful of. One of them is a leading question. Now, a leading question, they're phrased, and it's quite subtle, but they're phrased and arranged in a certain way that it leads you on to give a certain answer, right? That maybe you didn't intend to. Now, the best example of this was in the Yes Prime Minister video, which is in the next slide, but we won't see it, which you'll be able to see on the YouTube channel. And it's a great example of how someone at the end, just how you word the questions, you can get totally different responses from them. Now, that's a leading question. More obvious is a loaded question, and it's who's going to answer this. So, for example, because it might show them in a bad light, and we've got an example here, you're an alcoholic, your body odor problem, and people are not going to say yes, even though we know it exists. Now, sometimes you look and think, is there a don't know option available? And what you've also got to be aware of is what we call a spiral of silence. If you hold an unpopular view or you perceive it to be unpopular, and someone's asking a question in public, you might think, no, I don't want to tell that, And I put up the example here with the yes/no referendum Scotland, why the yes posters were everywhere, very few no posters, because it was perceived that maybe that was not what people were shouting out about. So maybe they kept it quiet, and that's why the level of don't knows in the opinion polls could have been, inflated because people they did know, but they didn't want to say so. And you see one here from, Apple, do you stand with President Trump? And yes, I stand with him, or I believe Democrats and fake news. Now, that's so partisan, it's untrue, and it's just invalid. If you looked at the results from that, you would think, no, that's not going to happen at all. Move on quickly before this comes up. Not too late. So that's your yes Prime Minister leading questions. Even within the questions, an open question, what do you think of, giving you space to, write? You can even be filling the word bubbles for you could have an image and say, what's this person saying? Projective techniques it's here. So it can be an open question. Closed is yes or no, right? Not even I don't know, yes or no. Some questions can be comparative or non-comparative. So you're comparing what do you care, this car with that car, this supermarket with that supermarket. You're actually measuring one against the other. Or more common is a closed multiple choice. And if you look at the age range here for the top left-hand image, take a closer look because there's some people of a certain age group might not be able to complete it properly because they've been missed out. The one in the bottom left is a Cineworld question. And look at all these questions here, when you get through this, but they replaced it with just a simpler version, smiley faces, click on this. So this is just some information about do's and don'ts of questionnaires you can read. Biases, make them simple, avoid any jargon. What's missing there is to test the questionnaire, right? Before you launch it officially, give it out to a few people, and then they might come back and say, well, what does this mean? And I'm confused by this, and I don't know about this, and you can tweak it a little bit. But I say, that's essential here. So there's always advice here. Now, two different kinds of questionnaires here. We've got the Likert rating scale. Now, that's on the left-hand side. So you have the statement here, the quality of our brand, and you've got, in this case, from very unsatisfied, neutral, satisfied, to very satisfied. You could make in 7 options here. It just depends, but it's very simple. You read the question, tick the box here, you go along. So it's a rating scale. On the right-hand side, we have semantic differential, and this is just where you have the words. So you've got strong and semantic, the meaning of the word strong to weak. Where would they fit in between here? Decisive to indecisive. Although I couldn't make up my mind where I would put that. And good to bad. So that's just different ways of putting your questionnaire. Rather than worry about the wording, just try to make it simpler. The sampling is how many people are going to take part in the research. The UK is a census every 10 years, so literally everyone has to take part. And when we have elections, everyone can take part. They don't always vote, but they can, over 18 can take part here. When it comes to opinion polls or something like this, depends on the market you're in, depends on the size. You might want to, if you're in a small market with maybe 100 customers, you can ask all your customers. But if it's a larger number, you might want a sample. Now, in an opinion poll in America, population of 350 million, you would interview maybe 2,000 people to get an opinion poll that's right, maybe 2% either way. And in the UK, with a population of 60 million, it's still 2,000. And in Scotland, it's still 2,000. So the thing is this, the reason why the cake is there is you don't need a bigger chunk of the cake to see how much it tastes, right? So you could take that slice of cake to see how it tastes. That's just being greedy. But you could have a smaller sample of the cake and still get whether it's a good taste. But what becomes important then is how you choose the people, right? And that's why you would then say, right, we're going to have people we're going to have representative males and females, age groups, ethnic background, income, where they live. So you then start, modifying it so that you're trying to make your sample as accurate as possible here. So it's just to get this in that you don't have to have everyone, but your sample has to be well chosen. So key questions when you're ever presented with research, you're asking, well, who carried this research out? When did they carry it out? Where? How are people chosen? Right? What questions did they ask? Why? Because in some cases they might not reveal all the questions they asked. And why was it carried out? Who paid for it? And what information had been omitted. And a article there about guide to statistics in a misleading age. So this is from a radio program, more or less, very interesting, on Radio 4, worth a listen. And it goes through sometimes how people throw out numbers all the time, but there's always a story behind it. Okay, thanks for listening.